Alright guys, it's time to check out the final balance update for Season 7. So let's go ahead and start off with the Barbarian. It's going to go in order here. So as far as the Barbarian goes, we have Hammer of the Ancients. By the way, most of the newest, like the latest update is going to be in blue. So they updated it on PTR and then they did another final update for the balance update recently. So anyways, HOTA, instead of it being like 80% damage, they buffed up another 10%, and this is the base. This is actually pretty important. Another thing is that you can actually activate HOTA or Hammer of the Ancients on the ground without enemies, but it will approach when a target is selected. So if you mouse over it, it will actually walk towards them, but if you don't, you can just activate it by default. It's almost like holding shift. Furious Hammer of the Ancients. Now, before you'd get 2% critical strike for every 10 fury that you had, and then it would knock down when you would do a crit. Now, its critical strikes are going to knock down enemies, and on top of that, this is getting more than a double buff. So they had it originally for 3%, which was a 50% buff already, and then they said, let's just make it 5%. So you're probably going to be able to crit very, very consistently with Hammer of the Ancients, as long as you happen to have enough resource. And then Mighty Throw is actually increased, which actually was a surprise, considering, as far as I'm aware of, like on the leaderboards, from Season 6, as far as Barbarian goes, this was the best build for Barbarian anyways. You can see all the leaderboards over here are all going to be, of course, the weapon throw barb. And the pulse damage also got increased. And then they also made it so kick will now scale with its ranks as far as giving you extra damage. At one point, this was actually a pretty insane thing because you could expend all of your energy and do a massive amount of damage. Who knows if that will make a return? But next up, we have Mighty Kick, which makes it so the knockdown duration got increased. And then with Wrath the Berserker, there's Wrath the Berserker pulls in enemies instead of knocking back and deals 200% damage to them. So cool. I think that that's much better because usually you don't want to push things away. Call of the Ancients now has the summon tag, and then at rank 5, while it's active, you get 50% bonus movement speed and distant damage reduction. That is going to be a nice little buff over there. But my guess is most people will just throw in Wrath Berserker with majority of builds anyways, because it's in every single Barbarian build pretty much since the start of this game. The problem with Call of the Ancients, by the way, guys, and you know, I hope it is good. I hope I'm wrong with this, but honestly, I feel like a lot of these things may be bait for summons, and the reason why is Call of the Ancients is just almost impossible to upkeep 100% of the time. It's not like Diablo 3 where you have like a Immortal King set and you have the Ancients last forever. That's, I think, the main problem with it as far as making like a summon Barbarian, but nonetheless, you get extra stats with it. Next up, the Prime Call of the Ancients, the damage bonus got increased, but again, they just simply don't last long enough, even with the brand new unique pants that got introduced last season. Next up, we have Iron Maelstrom. We have the 200 bludgeoning slam damage getting increased by 15%, dual wield swing damage getting increased by another 10%, and then there's a rank 5 bonus. This got a little bit of a nerf over here, and it does 60% of your damage to injured and healthy bonuses. Well, 60% of your damage to injured and healthy bonuses. And then the following skills trees upgrade, which directly deal damage, will now scale up their damage with increased skill ranks of the base skill. So we have enhanced charge. I really liked in a previous season where we had like that charge barb. That was really fun. I hope that makes that kind of a return. Then we have Mighty Kick, Power Kick, Battle Lunging Strike, and Enhanced Rupture. As far as the passives goes, we have Heavy Hitter. So previous, our ultimate skills would deal 15% more damage. Now our ultimate skills, Earthquakes and Dust Devils, deal 15% more damage. So it's definitely a nice thing. More included things here. And then with defensive stance, we get to increase the damage reduction gain while you are fortified by additional 2%. And then now it's while fortified, you gain 2% damage reduction, and you get to heal for 0.5 maximum life every second. With Slaying Strike, now you get to deal increased damage to injured and healthy, so the healthy is the new part. And then with Unbridled Rage, our core skills used to do, 45% increased damage, but would cost 100% more fury. Now they still have that damage, and then they cost 100% more fury, and the damage is doubled against injured enemies, so, okay. Next up, we have Walking Arsenal. So previously you'd have like cycle through your weapons, and then you'd get 8% increased damage for 10 seconds, and then while all 3 of them are active, you get an additional 10% increased damage and attack speed. Now, casting a skill with a two-handed bludgeoning, two-handed slashing, or a dual-wield weapon grants 15% increased damage. While all of them are bonuses are active, you gain 25% crowd control duration and attack speed. Okay, so that's going to be a little bit better for that one. And then we have legendary aspects over here. We have executioners. So previously, when you would kill an enemy with an overpower, it would leave behind an earthquake at their location. Now, it's going to make it so your overpowers will spawn an earthquake every 4 seconds that deals physical damage. So you no longer have to like eliminate a target. And then our earthquake damage gets to be increased by 15% for every 100 strength you have. So this is like a massive buff in like several different directions here. And then of earthquakes, previously Ground Stomp would then create an earthquake, and then now Ground Stomp creates an earthquake still, and then it does physical damage over 4 seconds, and then standing in it, and afterwards you get to have 10 to 25% increased damage, and our earthquakes deal 60%. Okay, so basically instead of just getting the 25% increased damage, now you get like 20 to 60. By the way, I'm just going to read the highest number because getting the highest roll in the aspect should be achievable now again. So we just get, well, this still has this increased damage, and then, so you basically just get 60% extra damage permanently, and then there's like this condition when you do it. Okay, next up with Bulk Kathos over here, the newer change over here is when you would leap, you would create an earthquake, and then you would gain damage reduction. Now your earthquakes just deal 60% damage. So it looks like they really want us to play Hammer of the Ancients plus Earthquake. That's going to be like the Barbarian build, I think, of the season. Then we have Ancestral Echoes. Now gives a 40% summoning skill damage bonus, and then Ancestral Charge gives a up to 40% summoning skill damage bonus, and Enroaching Wrath. Previously, it would be when you would spend Fury, you get to have your next weapon mastery skill within 5 seconds deal increased damage, and then now it's weapon mastery or brawling skill, and it's an increase by 10%. And then Mighty Throw increased damage over here for another 10%. So remember, it was the best build already, and they're buffing it even further. If we look at the leaderboard over here, the only class that was kind of further behind really was like Druid. The highest was a 116, but overall, this should bump up everything. Keep in mind, this is not even counting when we have our special powers, because we didn't get a power in the previous season, other than, again, getting the Runewords. But obviously we still have those. So next up we have the unique item changes. So these aren't the new unique items, by the way. We just dropped a video going over all of the unique items, so these won't be included in this part of the update as they separated it and I made a dedicated video. But anyways, Twin Strikes. So previously, after casting Double Swing 4 times, your next Double Swing will hit 2 additional times, dealing 50 to 80% increased damage. Now, after casting Double Swing 4 times, your next Double Swing will hit 2 additional times, each dealing 50 to 80% increased damage and stunning for 1 second. Then we have Unbroken Chain, which does 1 to 2 skill ranks of Pit Fighter swapped to 2 to 3 ranks of Slaying Strike. And then the enemy damage reduction got increased over here by 10%. And then we have a change to the helmet over here. The Ugly Bastard Helm, and it says fire damage bonus increase from basically just 20% increased damage, and then inherent fire res got increased to 100, so basically you're not going to be taking fire damage. And then with the Paragon, we have Bone Breaker, which is a legendary node. So it used to make it so every 12 seconds you get a guaranteed overpower, which a lot of HOTA Barbs played as well. And then now every 12 seconds your next skill is guaranteed to overpower. Whenever you overpower, your ultimate does 10% increased damage for 10 seconds up to 80%. So that's going to be cool if you want to like mix that in. And then we have the Weapons Master Legendary Node, which is the previous swapping weapons would grant you 8% of your maximum fury. Now swapping weapons grants you 8% of your maximum fury, and you get to deal 30% increased damage to injured and healthy enemies. Originally, I'll be honest, I was going to plan to fit all of these in one video, but now noticing how long it's going to take for these updates, I'm going to make these separated by every single class. So that was the Barbarian update, guys. Let me know what you think of it, and what do you plan to play if you are going to be a Barbarian player. Like I said, they're only buffing, as far as I'm aware of, the weapon throw, and it was already the top tier build. Now, they have heavily been buffing up the Hammer of the Ancients and the Earthquake, so I would try to look at those builds if you just want some inspiration for like, what should I play? That's the 2 recommendations I would give you guys for the Barbarian. Anyways, that's going to wrap things up. I'll be dropping the rest of the classes, so if you want to see the rest of them, hit subscribe. I'll be dropping them very soon. Anyways, take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.